tell you about today. We're going to start with hijacking American culture, which is the talking points memo this evening. So American culture is divided into two areas, okay? You've got politicians that shape laws and carry out policies. And they have a tremendous impact on how we all live. Now, we, the people, have control over that. We can vote for whom we want to. But if we choose the wrong candidates, then we get hosed. Okay, it's as simple as that. But that's on us. No outside forces. The second culture shaper is the corporate media, powerful corporations that control the communications industry. Nobody controls them. They do what they want. Now, we the people do have input. So, and we'll get to this a little bit later on. You don't have to watch or listen or read any of this stuff. And if you don't, that helps the independence of the country and hurts corporate profits. So again, two culture shapers, political, corporate, media, because the media gets out the information you depend on. You can't be running around all 50 states and 185 countries all over the world and know what happened. You have to depend on people like me, okay, to tell you what's happening. There are very few people like me, which is probably a good thing. I will never lie to you. Many in the corporate media will outright lie to you for money. Okay, so let's get specific. Since 2016, when Donald Trump entered politics, the national media has overwhelmingly supported the Democratic Party. Under Eisenhower in the 50s, Nixon, landslide victory against McGovern, Reagan, the media didn't like those people, but they didn't outright support the Democratic Party. Okay? Now, they justify their support of the Democratic Party by saying Trump's the devil, Trump's this, Trump's that. That's number one. Okay? Number two, all the surveys say the same thing, that if you want to work for a media corporation, you got to be left, or at least fake it. You're not going to get promoted or even hired if they think you're MAGA or you're conservative. Just not going to happen. So therefore, it is controlled, right? And the message is all left. Democrats good, Republicans bad, Trump the devil. Now, you will remember on June 10th, just about 2 months ago, an ABC News correspondent named Terry Moran, I believe he worked for ABC for 28 years, all right, was fired because he called President Trump and his top aide, Stephen Miller, haters. Now, this is a correspondent, not a pundit like me, not an analyst. He's a reporter. They're haters. ABC had to fire him. Disney had to fire the guy. He segues into the media, social media. Okay? He's never going to work the corporation again. And he put this up, and I want to read it to you. It's a quote. "It is no secret there are hardly any people who supported Donald Trump at ABC News or the other corporate legacy mainstream media networks. And this is bound to impact coverage, not so much out of malevolent bias, as a cartoon version peddled by Trump, Brendan Carr, and online MAGA, but more out of what kind of deafness. So yes, from my perspective, the old news networks are biased. But Brendan Carr, the head of the FCC, can go to hell." Oh, that's nice. That's very nice. "Federal government has no business dictating the editorial content of news coverage. This isn't Viktor Orban, Hungary, or Law and Justice Party, Poland. It's Putin's Russia, where free voices critical of the Kremlin could still be heard before he crushed them." Terry Moran, July 29th. This guy is a troubled guy. I mean, we're trying to track him down. And I'd love to talk to him. And maybe I'm wrong about it. But to say, hey, it's okay that the American corporate media, the most powerful media entity on earth, it's okay that all of them don't like Trump and favor the Democratic Party. But FCC shouldn't get involved with this, or Trump shouldn't object to it. No. Let them do what they want. Does that make any sense to anybody? All right. Talk about the fix is in. My God. And there are rules. Okay? There are rules. So and I'm going to get to those rules in a moment. The FCC has a responsibility, okay? If it allows the networks to take up airspace, then it has to enforce some kind of standards. You can't lie, you can't defame, you can't be in bed with a political party promoting that party. And Brandon Carr is saying we're cracking down on it because Trump is telling them to say that. Yes, that's true. But we're not going to let you guys run wild anymore. Not going to happen. And that's why you're seeing changes. CBS News is about to change big time. Disney will have to follow. NBC, they'll stay where they are, I believe. I don't think we're going to see a lot of change there. Okay? And then Colbert is gone. You're going to see others gone. The View is going to be shaken up, on and on and on and on. Because the federal government does have say. Now, not with cable. The federal government has no sway over cable. Cable do whatever it wants. But the networks given air space by the federal government, licensing. They are licensed. And Trump is saying, hey, you got to stop this. You can't have all the corporations in the media supporting the Democratic Party. And so that's where it is. So the culture has shifted. People go to me, oh, it's not the way it used to be. And that's true. It's not the way it used to be. I worked for CBS and ABC News. I'm going to write about that, my experiences there, in my last book, After Confronting Evil. But it wasn't crazy. Rather, it was very liberal, but he wasn't a nut. Jennings was liberal, but he was fair. Rather wasn't fair. Okay. But I'll just give you a little taste of that. So summing up, we are responsible for who we elect. Those people in Washington and in your state capitals shape the culture, okay? And the media also shapes the culture, and it's all liberal, with the exception of Fox News and Newsmax, and it's overwhelming, and that's a memo. Our healthcare system is a mess, you know that. You wait weeks for a doctor's appointment, get 5 minutes there, then face delays, insurance, red tape. It's slow, frustrating, and it's why All Family Pharmacy stands out in the madness. All Family Pharmacy believes in medical freedom, meaning you decide what works for your health, not some agency or insurance company. Ordering is simple. No waiting rooms, pharmacy lines. Just go online, place your order, and get medications delivered right to your door. They offer 200 medications, including ivermectin and antibiotics, plus emergency kits, customized orders, even bulk buys. More than 100,000 Americans already trust All Family Pharmacy. It's time you check them out. So please go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill. Use promo code BILL10 for 10% off. Take your health into your own hands. That's allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill, code BILL10. All right, so I have an interesting guest to tell you about. Breitbart, Alex Marlo. I read the book, and I got 1,000 books, literally, okay? So I wanted to see what Marlo had. And here's what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in right-wing politics. Breitbart is a conservative site. I knew Mr. Breitbart before he died. I liked him. But what I'm interested in is who paid for all the cases against Donald Trump. And Marlo is investigating that. Now, if you don't know him, He is, let me get your official title here, Alex, so I don't blow it. You are the editor-in-chief of Breitbart News, the host of the Alex Marlo podcast, and a two-time New York Times bestselling author. Did I have it? Do I have everything? And you want to throw anything else in there on your resume, or do I have it?
No, and a three-time guest on your show, Bill, which I appreciate. You had me on for both of my other books, Breaking Biden and Breaking the News, and there's an homage to you in that. I've titled my first three books in a similar theme to what you do with the Killing series. I was thinking about it. I think other than Stephen King, you're the author I've read the most over the years. So congrats to your longevity.
Oh,
and
you're going to love
homage
Evil.
to BillO'Reilly in the book title.
Thank you. Thank you. You're going to love Evil coming up September 9th. Now, let's start with E. Jean Carroll, and this is probably the least important, but the most outrageous.
Yes,
to me,
agreed.
Because I don't know her, but I know who she is, and I know the people she surrounds herself with. And she won $5 million in damages, saying that Trump jumped her in Bergdorf Goodman. I mean, it's just inconceivable that that would happen with no scream or nobody else around. I mean, come on. She still won Manhattan jury. And then she won when Trump said she's X, Y, and Z. She sued him for defamation, won there. Case is presently on appeal. Who gave E. Jean Carroll the money to go after Trump?
First of all, I love that you started with this case of the six that I profiled because it is the most outrageous. It does seem to be the least serious, but this is a woman who had cats named Tits and Vagina. She basically, her claims against Trump almost mirrored exactly a Law and Order plot from an episode that took place a year or two before this event allegedly took place. There are so many implausible moments in the case that I think when people read my retelling of it, they'll actually laugh at certain points. And yet, this was put up as a major example of sexual predatory behavior by Trump with virtually little, almost no hard evidence at all. The key point being that she had apparently saved this dress that may have had Trump's DNA on it, but then she wouldn't turn it over to authorities so no one could actually examine it. So, which I talked to Trump about this, and he said he loved that she had the dress because he could have exonerated him, so she kept it a secret. But to answer your question, this was bankrolled by Reid Hoffman, the LinkedIn billionaire, frequent Biden White House guest, a guy who has been involved in basically every major Democrat funding operation, period. And he is someone who is part of this revolving door of donors that is involved in so many of these nefarious plots by the left to try to buy portions of the American government. This was the idea of George Conway, the famed legal pundit and ex-husband of Kellyanne Conway. Who was a huge
let me stop you there. When
it was Conway's idea, and Hoffman funded it.
All right, let me stop you there. Reid Hoffman, you said frequent White House guest under Obama and Biden. I don't even know. Did he visit Biden?
Yeah, 5 times in 2022 alone, and then there was another meeting that they had that same year.
So he's deeply embedded.
I stopped there. I thought I have what I need at that point.
He's deeply embedded. Now this E. Jean Carroll thing. Do you know if she got money directly from him? Was she paid by him?
I don't know if she was paid by him, but her attorneys, and she had the top attorneys possible, the absolute top Me Too attorneys, and this was framed as a Me Too case, that this was an example of Trump preying on a innocent woman and pinning her into a department store dressing room, even though there were no eyewitnesses to it, and apparently Carroll hadn't told anyone who would testify about it for decades. That was how it was framed. And they got the best lawyers in the game in order to be on her team. Those people are not cheap. And they're certainly not something that E. Jean Carroll, as a former comedy writer and columnist, could have afforded.
Okay. So it was a civil suit. You have to pay lawyers to file all the paperwork. And I'd say estimate $2-3 million. They might have worked pro bono for her and taken a piece, but you're saying that Hoffman paid them outright, but you don't know if he paid her, right?
Yeah, I don't know exactly where the funds were allocated specifically, but I'll tell you there was a clip of Carroll after she had gotten I think it was a $95 million judgment against Trump, where she was literally announcing she was going to be buying gifts for her attorneys, as well as sympathetic TV pundits.
It wasn't a serious case. Then we go into, and you believe, according to Breaking the Law, your book, that the Manhattan jury would have found Trump guilty of anything. And Trump didn't appear on his own behalf or anything, but the fix was in from the very beginning. That's what you believe, right?
Yeah, and Trump said he probably regrets his strategy, and that I spoke to him about this in an interview earlier this year, and he says that he did not like the way that his attorneys handled it. He had tough words for a guy named Takapina, who's one of his attorneys,
Right.
but he also said that it was hopeless, that once the judge and jury were impaneled, it was over for him, and that's part of the problem with the lawfare.
Okay. What is Project 65?
Yeah, Project 65 are attorneys who is a well-funded left-wing effort to target attorneys who work for Trump. And it's essentially legal world cancel culture. It's trying to make it that if you represent Trump or someone who's affiliated with Trump, that you are no longer able to work in polite society again.
Wow.
And you
That's
are
pretty nasty.
classed out. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Who's Herb Sandler?
Herb Sandler is a guy who is behind ProPublica. Now, ProPublica is a left-wing activist journalism outlet, and they actually get some stuff right. I know this because I practice some advocacy journalism, Bill, which I'm happy to admit from time to time. It doesn't make you inaccurate if you have an agenda when you're reporting certain things. But he's funded this group that has really tried to take either small kernels of news or outright fake news and use it to weaponize against conservative judges and justices. In particular, he's targeted Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito, the two originalist standard bearers on the Supreme Court. And the ProPublica outlet has tried to make their lives a living hell simply because they're originalists. And they've implied this guilt by association stuff that because they have a couple of rich friends, that they must be taking bribes from them to decide court cases in certain ways. And there's no evidence of that at all. It's all speculation, and it's designed to harass them. And this comes from the ProPublica outlet, which is backed by mainly Herb Sandler and the Sandler Foundation, but also George Soros and Laurene Powell Jobs, who owns The Atlantic, and another murderer's row of Democrat philanthropists.
Now, Soros is in his mid-90s. His son, Alex, is running this operation, Open Society or whatever it is.
Yes.
But how active in your book was Soros in trying to harm Donald Trump?
Very active in certain ways because he's able to operate more clandestinely, and his focus in my book is more on the DA races that he bought. Tens and tens of millions of people in this country are living in a area where their DA is soft on crime and is doing everything they can to try to allow criminals.
And that was Bragg in Manhattan.
And those people were put in power by Soros money.
Soros donated millions to them, and their competition on the other side couldn't match.
That's right.
Final question for you. Media Matters has been in business, almost 30 years. They're character assassins. I've gone up against them many, many times. They're involved in a lot of this, distributing the garbage that comes out of these organizations that want to harm Trump and Republicans. But now it looks like Media Matters is going out of business. You hear that?
It's amazing news. This was one of Andrew's biggest foils when he was alive, and I wish he was here to celebrate with us. Sadly, there's a lot of, I think, facsimiles of it that will just replace the work that Media Matters has done. And I grew to find it to be a compliment whenever they would quote me for some reason. So I will miss that to some degree. But this was the original Soros-funded media operation to try to smear and character assassinate people, basically for having normative conservative views, the type of views that you and I would opine on a daily basis about, Bill.
Okay. Did you find any research? And again, I did read Alex's book, and if you're into this kind of want to know the specifics, it's very good. You'll get a lot of information out of it.
Thank you.
Did you find any corporate media that reported on any of this Trump stuff in a fair way, methodical way?
No, absolutely not. And one thing that I highlight right at the top is how Jeff Bezos admitted that his paper completely failed on this. And this is not a guy who's a knee-jerk pro-Trump person. I think he's mostly apolitical, if not left-leaning, though I think he's embraced Trump recently to some degree. But he flat out announced that we botched this thing. And this is something that is a point we cannot repeat enough. The corporate media is dead, and we can, frankly, urinate on their graves at this point because they're gone and they're not coming back in a meaningful way. Alternative media is here to stay.
All right, Alex. Thank you very much for helping us out. We appreciate it. Good luck with the book. America is more dangerous than ever with violent crime on the rise. While you could rely on a firearm, using deadly force today can land you in court, costing you years and your life savings. Trying to prove you acted in self-defense. FBI data shows 99.9% of all altercations do not require lethal force. That's why smart Americans are turning to Byrna. Proudly made in Fort Wayne, Indiana, Byrna's less lethal self-defense launchers are trusted by law enforcement, private security, more than 600,000 citizens. Byrna launchers fire kinetic rounds and powerful tear gas or pepper projectiles, able to stop a threat up to 60 feet away. No background checks, no waiting periods, delivered right to your door. Take control, be ready. Visit Byrna.com today. That's BYRNA.com, or head to your local Sportsman's Warehouse. We don't talk enough about those truly making a positive impact. So let's take a moment to discuss Delta Rescue, the world's largest no-kill care for life animal sanctuary. Home to more than 1,500 rescued animals. It is staffed by trained specialists who provide lifelong care, love, and safety. They do incredible work. But look, it's important to remember that Delta Rescue relies solely on contributions from us. I have donated, and so should you. Their founder, Leo Grillo, built a legacy of dedication and everlasting love for animals. So consider making it a part of your legacy too. Talk with an estate planner. Check out the estate planning tab at deltarescue.org. You can make a difference, even get potential tax benefits. So please visit deltarescue.org today to learn more. deltarescue.org. Here's a final thought of the day. So yesterday in New York City, Massachusetts Senator and socialist Elizabeth Warren came in to campaign for Ma'am Donnie, who's a communist. Okay, here's what she said. Go.
What Zoran is saying is, I want people to be able to afford to live in New York City. That's what keeps it a vibrant city. That's what makes people want to live
Nobody
here.
disagrees with that, Senator, but raising taxes in order to do it? Why is that the answer?
Oh, dear. Are you worried that billionaires are going to go hungry?
No, I'm worried that they're going to leave and spend their money elsewhere.
You know, they've threatened to do that over and over.
Okay. So I'm on News Nation last night. Here's what I said to that.
How did tearing down the success of America become sort of so popular?
First of all, Senator Warren is a nitwit. I'm sorry. I don't usually do that, but my God, if Mandani gets elected in mayor of New York City, she doesn't think wealthy people and corporations are going to leave? You're a nitwit, madam. I mean, that's all I can say. There's no other word to describe you. All right. Since 2020, close to 600,000 New York City residents have left. They keep saying it. 600,000 gone, most of whom paid big taxes. You know, we like to back up our insults here. But I don't like that invective stuff. I used to do it when I was younger a lot more. But what else am I going to say? That word described her perfectly. Thank you for watching and listening on our radio stations across the country, the No Spin News. See you again tomorrow. Thank you for watching. To view full episodes of the No Spin News anytime, sign up to become a BillO'Reilly.com premium or concierge member today.